Guys, check that out. Look. Oh my goodness. Look at how cool. How cool is that? So I am coming at you guys with another interlocking crochet pattern. This one is a slightly different pattern than my duality blanket. So we've still got these really nice squares going on it, but this time they are kind of in a checker pattern. We've got this reversible back. This is a much I wouldn't call it simpler. It's still an advanced level pattern, but this is going to be quite a bit easier to take on because this time we are making a scarf. So instead of my massive duality blanket, what we are making is this beautiful scarf. I have named it the Shirley Couture scarf. Today's video tutorial is going to be super easy, super simple. We are doing a 4-row repeat to create this stunning pattern. Quick, easy, you're gonna love it. This is a great one to jump into if you were intimidated by the duality blanket. So this is going to be a much easier pattern for you guys to tackle just because the sheer size of it, it's smaller. So not a really long repeat, super simple, easy to do. We're gonna walk through and make a swatch so that you guys can jump right into this pattern. Linked below is the free pattern, the Lion Brand kit, and the Etsy and Ravelry PDFs. So I just want to get a close-up on this scarf for you guys. Look at this stitch. So this is one side and then this is the other. I mean, check that out. Oh my goodness, I love it. I really love this scarf for a few reasons. One, it's got two sides. It's reversible. I mean, can it get any better than that? I mean, you can wear it long, right? Belly. You can wear it long on the one side. You can easily just flip it over and wear it with the other side. You can even twist it and get super fancy and show off both sides, right? It's nice and long. This is a great unisex scarf because it's long. You can go black and white like this, and it's, you know, simple, classic, perfect. We can wear it folded in half, right? Like this, which is great, you know? And again, with the one side, or, woo, whacked myself in the face. Or we can flip it around onto the other side, right? Like this. We can wear it where we wrap it, right? Let's put it so that we can kind of bring it around, you know, which is also nice because it shows off both sides of the scarf. I mean, I love it. 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 I'm obsessed with interlocking crochet. I mean, look, goodness, why would you not be? Okay. So if you could see, let's see if I can get them both on camera. Let's flip this around. So if you could see here on the duality blanket, the squares line up. On the Shirley Couture scarf, they are staggered. So pattern is slightly different. Technique is the same. But either way, you are going to love making this scarf with me today. Anyways, I'm not going to keep you guys here much longer. Let's jump right into today's video tutorial. All right, so let's get started on today's video tutorial where we are going to be making this beautiful interlocking crochet pattern. I used this stitch pattern on my most recent design called the Shirley Couture scarf. So this is one side. I'm not going to call it the right side or the wrong side because there isn't one. So this is one side. And this is the other. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? So this scarf is reversible. It's absolutely stunning, and we are going to learn how to do this stitch today. For today's video tutorial, you are going to need some number 4 worsted weight yarn. For today's tutorial, I am going to be using what is left of my skein of cream and olive. On my scarf, I used black, but black can be kind of hard to see on camera with the stitch definition, and with this high contrast, I really don't want you guys to not be able to see my stitches, so I will be using olive. You will also need a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook and 2 stitch markers. So if you are not familiar with interlocking crochet, it is a technique whereby you create 2 different pieces of fabric and you weave them together essentially while you're working. So you're working 2 rows at a time, but it's technically 1 row. You never combine your row A with your row B. So the cream is always worked in the cream for your stitches, and the black is always worked in the black for your stitches. But we have to move the yarn to the front and to the back to create this beautiful woven texture. So to start, you have to create 2 different foundation chains. And for this tutorial, I am going to be having cream as my color A. So I'm going to make myself a slip knot, put it on my hook, and for today's tutorial, we are creating a little swatch where we have to chain 28 for the foundation row A. Now that I have my 28 chains, what we will do is follow the instructions for foundation row A, which say to double crochet in the 6th chain from the hook. So we're going to count over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I prefer to work in the back bump. You can see that right here, not the front, the back bump. That is because it gives a more finished edge on the bottom of the chain. So we're going to double crochet in that 6th back bump or chain. Chain 1, skip the next back bump or chain, and then double crochet in the next. We're going to repeat that all the way across, placing a double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, and double crochet in the next until we reach our final chain stitch. Coming to the end of my row, I am going to create my final chain 1, and I am going to double crochet in my last chain stitch using the back bump. That completes foundation row A. What you will then do is get one of your stitch markers, place it in your loop, and remove your hook. We're now going to set this to the side, and I am going to create foundation row B. Now it is very important that you pay attention to this part of the pattern because foundation row A and foundation row B start with a different number of chains. For foundation row B, we are starting with 26 chains. So I'm going to create a slip knot, place my yarn on my hook, and chain 26. Now, mind you, we are only creating a swatch. If you are creating the scarf, you are going to be starting with a chain of 44 for foundation row A and a chain of 42 for foundation row B. Please make sure to reference the written pattern for the full instructions for the scarf. We are currently just creating a swatch. Okay, so I have my 26 chains for my foundation row B, and I'm going to repeat the same instructions that we did for foundation row A. So I'm going to count over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm going to double crochet in that 6th chain from the hook. In my case, I'm using the back bump, and then I will continue with the same process of the chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next until I reach the end. Coming to the end of my foundation row B, I am going to create my last chain 1, skip my next chain stitch, and then double crochet in the last chain stitch. To complete foundation row B, grab your 2nd stitch marker and place it in your loop. Remove your hook. So you now have your foundation row A and your foundation row B. So you could see, because this was 2 chains shorter, that you have a slightly shorter foundation row B than you do foundation row A. You have to make sure that your foundation row A and foundation row B have the correct amount of stitches, otherwise this pattern will not work. So after you have created your foundation row A and your foundation row B, you are going to move your working yarn to the right side, if you're a righty. And then what we have to do is lay foundation row A on top of foundation row B, okay? It is very, very important that before the beginning of every row, you take note of where your working yarn for color B has to be placed. So before we create row 1A, at the very top in the pattern, it will tell you to bring color B working yarn to the back, okay? So this is the back of the stitch. What we will then do is we have to, hold on, this makes it a little bit easier. I'm just gonna put this down. the first part of row 1A, we have to chain 4. Okay. Now again, I'm gonna pick row foundation row B back up and put it to the back. Make sure that the working yarn for B is to the back. And now it says double crochet in back, right? DCB stands for double crochet in back, in next double crochet. Now, that's this double crochet because we are working in 1A, so we are only working in color A. But we have to work this stitch from the back, which means we are going to yarn over to create our double crochet, and we are going to come in between these first 2 double crochet stitches. So bring your hook between, and now insert into the top of that next double crochet stitch, grab that stitch, pull it through to the back, okay? Yarn over, complete your double crochet as you normally would, all right? So again, we never work color A in color B or color B in color A. Color A is always worked in color A and color B is always worked in color B. We then will start the row repeat, which is to chain 1 and then double crochet in front. So now we're working on the front of our work, so that's an easy stitch to pick up. We're just going to come into the next double crochet and work our double crochet as we normally would. Chain 1 and double crochet in back in the next double crochet. So what we have to do, because we are coming to the back, right? We're not working between these 2 because we worked at the front. So we're working in between the next 2 double crochet of foundation row B. So bring our hook in between, come to the front, grab this next double crochet, pull it to the back, and then complete the double crochet as you normally would. And then we are going to repeat that all the way across. Chain 1, double crochet in front, chain 1, double crochet in back, coming in between the next 2 double crochet stitches of foundation row B, chain 1, double crochet in front, chain 1, double crochet in back. So I've just created my last double crochet in back. I'm going to chain 1 and double crochet in front in the last double crochet, which is really the turning chain. So I'm going to skip this chain and come into this next chain, which essentially is the same as the top of what would be a double crochet, and complete my double crochet as I normally would. I'm going to come to the beginning of my foundation row A, take my stitch marker, and now I'm going to place it at the end of row 1A. As you can see, we have split between stitches, which is starting to set up the foundation for this pattern. We are now going to move on to row 1B. So for row 1B, we are going to start with a chain 4. Every row will start with a chain 4 moving forward. And then what we have to do is we have to double crochet in back in our next double crochet. So working from the back, we're going to find our next double crochet, insert our hook, pull our yarn to the back, pull our stitch to the back, and then create our double crochet as we normally would. We will then chain 1, and we are going to double crochet in front in the next double crochet twice. So create another chain 1 and double crochet in front again. We're then going to chain 1 and double crochet in back, so coming to the back of our work. Grab that stitch, make sure we pull it to the back. Double crochet in that stitch, chain 1, and do that again twice. So chain 1, double crochet in back again, and then repeat that across. So you're going to chain 1, double crochet in front twice, chain 1, double crochet in front, and then chain 1, double crochet in back. So grab that yarn, that stitch from the back, pull it to the back, and double crochet twice. So again, one more time, chain 1, double crochet in back. And you are going to do that until your last 2 double crochet stitches remain, where you will then again chain 1, double crochet in front, chain 1, and double crochet in front again, making sure that you are using the turning chain. So you skip this first chain and come into this next one to create your final double crochet stitch. Come to the beginning of your foundation row B, take out your stitch marker, and bring it to the end of your row 1B. So row 1B alternates the double crochets. You place 2 in the front, 2 in the back, 2 in the front, 2 in the back, right? And see, that's kind of setting up these squares. Isn't that pretty? Oh, once you get a couple of rows in and you start to see the repeat, it's a really simple repeat. Again, the most important thing is the placement of your color B. It either has to be at the front or the back, because if you don't, what'll happen is if it's on the wrong side, you're not gonna be able to work your stitches. So you'll have to cut your yarn and bring it through to the front, and then you'll have an end to weave in. Moving on to row 2A. Now, one thing that I like to do is before I move on to any of my next rows, before I turn my entire piece, I do like to just place my chain 4. It just makes it easier not having to work around all of this. So I'm gonna make my chain 4 now for row 2A, and now I'm going to turn my work, and then I will move on to the instructions. So for 2A, you have to make sure that you bring your color B working yarn to the front. So you need the working yarn, your stitch marker, make sure that loop and everything is on the front. I like to kind of pinch it down and hold it there. Okay, row 2A instructions state to chain 4 and then double crochet in front of the next double crochet. So make sure that we've got these pinched and pulled to the front for color B. And then I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to double crochet in front in my next stitch. So that is this stitch, right? So essentially what that is doing is it is anchoring this color B to the front in between the turning chain 4 and the double crochet, so that this way when we start for color B, this is on the correct side of the work that we need it to be to set up the rest of these stitches. Next, in row 2A, we have to chain 1 and then double crochet in back. So here's our next stitch. We're gonna get our hook into that next stitch, and then we're gonna bring it to the back, okay? We want that double crochet to form on the back. Create our double crochet as we normally would, chain 1, and then double crochet in front. So you can see that the next double crochet is between these 2 double crochet stitches of color B. So we're just gonna pick that up and we're gonna pull it to the front. Create our double crochet as we normally would, chain 1, and then double crochet in back. So again, that double crochet is kind of between these 2. So we have to come back here. We can see it nice and clear back here, and it's staying on the back. So we're inserting our hook and creating our stitches as we normally would, chain 1, double crochet in front. So this one is on the front. We can pick that one up easily. Chain 1 and keep repeating that all the way across, alternating our stitches, working from back to front. Always making sure that you place your chain 1 space in between. And then you're going to do that until you reach the end. So I've created my chain 1 and I'm going to create my last double crochet in the repeat, which is a double crochet in front, and then I will chain 1 and double crochet in the back. So you're gonna have to pull color B around so you can find this chain 4, and you're going to count over that 1 chain and come into this next chain and double crochet in the back, right? Keeping this to the back of the work. Create your double crochet as you normally would. Come to the beginning of your row 2A, 1A, right? We're creating 2A. Come to the beginning of row 1A, get your stitch marker, and place it at the end of row 2A. Now to begin row 2B, I'm going to insert my hook into where I place my stitch marker, chain 4. I'm going to turn my entire piece so that now we could see where we're going with things. And then row 2B is a really easy repeat. We are just going to be creating a double crochet in front all the way across. So find our next double crochet and double crochet in front. Chain 1, find our next double crochet and double crochet in front. And then we're going to repeat that all the way across. So 2B is a really, really easy row. It's all double crochets in front. You just have to make sure that you find your stitches and work your double crochets as you normally would to the front of your work. Okay, so I'm coming to the end of my row 2A. I'm going to create my last chain 1, and I'm going to come over and I'm going to double crochet in front using the turning chain as my double crochet. I'm going to come back to the beginning of that row, grab the stitch marker, and put it in the end of row 2A. Now, just to recap on row 2B. Just to recap on row 2A, we started with a double crochet in front, and then we alternated back, front, back, front, back, front, all the way across. And then for row 2B, all we did was double crochets in front. So you could see the pattern is starting to take form. So pretty. Okay, moving on to row 3A, I'm going to insert my hook into this last loop. I'm going to chain 4, turn my work, and it says that color B working yarn has to be to the front for row 3A. So we're going to flip this forward, get this stitch marker and my working yarn, and make sure that I pinch this down so I don't lose it. And then I am going to create a double crochet in back in the next double crochet for row 3A. So I'm going to yarn over, and I need to pick up this double crochet. So here's my chain, here's this next double crochet, and it's kind of pushed to the front. So I've got to come to the back over here, and I gotta get my hook into this next stitch and pull it through color B, and then complete my double crochet as I normally would. Chain 1, and then double crochet in front of the next double crochet. So row 3A is another row where we are alternating from back to front. So chain 1, double crochet in back. So I got to get my hook into the next stitch, pull this stitch to the back, and then complete my double crochet to the back, chain 1, double crochet in front. So again, just keep alternating that all the way across, chain 1, double crochet in back, chain 1, double crochet in front, until you reach the end of row 3A. Okay, I am coming through and I'm completing my last double crochet in back. I'm going to chain 1, and now I'm going to complete my last double crochet in front, again using the turning chain. Come back to the beginning of my row, grab my stitch marker from color A, and put it into the last stitch of row 3A. If you notice me fumbling, it's because my hands are slightly swollen. I get pregnancy-induced carpal tunnel, and my hands swell. It's not preeclampsia. People are always concerned about that. It is carpal tunnel. It usually flares up towards the ends of my pregnancies. It's fine. Moving on to row 3B. I'm going to come here to my color B, insert my hook, chain 4. I'm going to turn my work, and we are going to place a double crochet in front in the next double crochet. Okay, so that one's really easy to see. And then we are going to chain 1 and double crochet in back of the next double crochet twice. So chain 1 again, double crochet in back, okay, making sure that we're grabbing that stitch and bringing it to the back. Once you do this a few times, it actually gets really easy. You can just kind of feel it and do it without having to flip it back and forth. Chain 1, double crochet in front, and again we're going to do that twice. So chain 1 and double crochet in front again, and then we are going to repeat that all the way across. So what that is doing is that is setting up our next set of squares. So see, you can see the squares here on the row below. So when you see these squares on the row below here, and now you're working on this side again, you know that you're going to be alternating your squares. So if you worked in front here, you're going to be working in back here, which means your squares will then be opposite. So repeat that all the way across. Your double crochet in back twice, and then double crochet in front twice. Again, making sure that you have a chain space between each double crochet. I'm coming to the end of row 3B. I'm going to place my last double crochet in back, chain 1, and then double crochet in back again. Now, on a row like this where you're kind of pulling a lot, it can be really difficult to kind of see your stitches. I will actually grab this chain and kind of really tug on it, you know, so that it comes out where I could really see where I'm working, and then I'll count that first chain, and then I know here's my next chain that I'm going to be using in place of the double crochet. And that makes it a little bit easier to find it. You just pull the whole thing. It's not going to screw anything up. Once this all locks together, it'll right itself, and you won't see any funky pulling. Come back to the beginning of your row for color B, grab that stitch marker and place it in your last stitch. Look, can you see the pattern starting? Isn't that awesome? Oh goodness, I love it. Okay, so now moving on to row 4A. This is the final repeat in the pattern. We are going to insert our hook, yarn over, and chain 4. I'm going to turn my work, and this one says that the color B working yarn needs to be kept to the front, okay? So we're just gonna let that flop right on down. So this is staying to the front, so pull this over a bit, right? So it's out of your way. And then what you have to do is double crochet in front and next double crochet. So now in order to do that, you have to come through color B to grab this next double crochet, and you have to pull it to the front. So you're kind of working through these. So we're gonna make our double crochet, and what that's doing is it's bringing color A to the front, and we kept color B also to the front, but it pushed color B to the back. You see that? We will then chain 1, and we have to double crochet in back in the next double crochet. So here is that stitch between these two double crochet. We're gonna get our hook, and we're gonna kind of pull everything over it so that we can keep that stitch to the back. Create our double crochet as we normally would, chain 1, and then double crochet in front. So row 4A is another row where we are alternating our stitches from back to front. Make sure that you have your chain 1 in between all of your double crochet stitches. Okay, so I'm creating my last double crochet in front on row 4A, and I'm coming to the end of the row. So we have to chain 1, and we are going to double crochet in front on the turning chain. Now, there is a reason for this. If we kept the repeat going and went to the back, what would happen is we would lose the square on the front, right? So see this square here? It would get pulled in, and then you you would lose the pattern. So at the end of row 4, it's very important to note that it changes slightly and you're going to end with 2 double crochets in front. So be very mindful of that. Come back to the beginning of your row, grab your stitch marker from your color A and bring it to the end of your row of color A. Insert your hook into color B to start row 4B, chain 4. And then row 4B is a really easy row. These are all double crochet in front. So you just have to make sure that you grab your stitches and bring them to the front of your work. We don't have to go back and forth on row 4B, which makes this a really nice, easy repeat. Coming to the end of my row, I'm creating my last double crochet in front. I'm going to chain 1 and create my final double crochet in front in the turning chain. So I will now pull that to the front and complete my double crochet. So see, it's really important that we had the square at the front, because if we would have, it would have kind of wrapped around itself and then we would have lost that square. So that is the entire repeat. So now you would jump back to row 1A. Make sure you move your stitch marker before you do that. So you would jump back to row 1A, which would be a chain 4, and then you would be alternating from back to front. You would start your row 1B, you'd work your first one in the back, and then you would be doing your 2 in front, 2 in back, and you would work that all the way across. All right, so that's it. It is just a simple 4-row repeat to create this pattern. Super, super easy. Once you create row 4, you are going to go back to row 1 and repeat row 1A and 1B. For the purpose of today's tutorial, I'm not going to do that again. What I'm going to do is I'm going to jump to the finishing rows. So after you've created all of your repeats, what you're going to have to do is you will create your final row A and final row B. So to do that, we have to have the color B working yarn to the back, okay? And I'm going to pick up my loop in my color A, chain 4, and then I'm going to double crochet in front in each of the next double crochets with a chain 1 in between each double crochet stitch. So again, really simple on this row. It's just all double crochet in front, and you're going to do that until you reach the end of your final row A. Okay, so I'm coming to the end of final row A. I'm going to place my double crochet in front in this last double crochet, chain 1, and I'm going to place my last double crochet in the turning chain. Grab my stitch marker, bring it to the front, and then I'm going to come back here to final row B. Now, this is where things deviate in the pattern because we are not doing double crochets anymore. I'm going to chain 3, not 4, and what we do here is we are going to be doing half double crochet in back, okay? So I'm going to yarn over, place my hook into my next stitch, and we're working in the back, but super easy because this was all in the front, so we can just flip this forward and work right across. And I'm going to yarn over and pull through all my loops for a half double crochet in back. Chain 1, half double crochet in back of the next double crochet, chain 1, and repeat that all the way across until we reach the end of our final row B. Coming to my last double crochet and placing my last half double crochet in back there. I'm going to chain 1 and then create the final half double crochet in back in the turning chain. Now on row B, for the final row, this is where we would finish off. I am not going to do that because I'm going to pull this out because this is a brand new skein of yarn and I want to use it for something else. So I'm going to put my stitch marker in here. Normally you would cut here. You do not cut with final row A, you cut with final row B, okay? So then you're gonna move on to trim row A. So we're gonna insert our hook and I'm gonna chain 1, all right? And I'm going to turn And now remember, this would be cut and pulled through, right? So ignore all of this. And then what we are going to do is we are going to single crochet across in color A and color B, joining the double crochets with the half double crochets and the chain spaces. So that's why we're bringing them together. That's how we're going to bring them together. That's why I reduced this to a half double crochet, so that there wasn't, you see here on the beginning where you have a little bit of this bulkiness going on. That's not bulkiness, but this overlap. Down here, you can kind of pull them. Up here, it's not that you couldn't do that, but it just, the way that these last couple of rows come out, it's nicer to have the shorter stitch. It gives it a much cleaner edge. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to count this chain one as a stitch. So I'm going to pick up in this final half double crochet, and I'm going to pick up in this final double crochet, and I'm going to place a single crochet. Then I have a chain space. Now you can either work around the chain space or you could pick up your stitches in the chain space. I prefer to just work around my chain spaces. Then I'm going to come into my next half double crochet and my next double crochet, pick up both of them and create my single crochet, work around my next chain space, pick up my next half double crochet and double crochet. And we're going to repeat that to the end. So now I'm coming to the end, and remember, because the starting chains for the foundation row A and B are different, so you have kind of this extra bit here. So I'm picking up in the turning chain of color A, and I'm picking up the last double crochet I'm picking up the turning chain in color B, and I'm picking up the last double crochet in color A. I'm going to complete that stitch. Okay, and that kind of gives you this little funky edge here. We're just gonna kind of work a bit in the chain and around here to bring that corner together nicely. See? Nice and easy. You would then finish off here, and that would be it. You'd weave in your ends, kind of weave your end in up a little bit here, so that if you do have any, if you know you have any bulging here, you can kind of fill that in with your end, and that's it. And then you're going to go back and you're going to repeat that same process, connecting these final two rows here where you started in your foundation rows, and that creates your beautiful interlocking crochet scarf. Wasn't it pretty? This is a really nice stitch. If you wanted to practice with this, you could do the repeat rows 1 to 4 one more time, and it'll create almost a perfect square. And this would be a great, like a coaster or a pot, what do you call it, a hot pad, if you did it with like cotton or something. But I love interlocking crochet. I mean, who doesn't want something that's got two sides to it? It's absolutely amazing. Make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you share this video. Be sure to tag me on social media if you make yourself a Shirley Couture scarf. I would love to see the color combinations that you guys pick. Be sure to sign up for the Life in Yarn newsletter so you never miss any free patterns, video tutorials, and just all around yarny goodness. Thanks, guys.